Hey everybody, how's it going? So, this is our skill lesson for this week, and what we're going to do is we're going to take on a big skill project for the second quarter. A big project with a big goal. The goal is one that you might not achieve. Okay, you might fail at this goal, but in the process of attempting to achieve the goal, I know that you will get better and I know that you will learn things and I know you will improve your skill. I know that for sure. So here's the goal. The goal is to be able to juggle three items, like three tennis balls or three bean bags, some similar item like that. Tennis balls is what I've found to be the easiest to work with. Okay, so that's the goal. It's going to take a lot of work. It took me a lot of work to be able to accomplish that goal myself. I mean, a lot of work, a lot of perseverance and sticking with it. And I want you to do the same thing. We're not going to expect to be able to juggle on the first lesson. Remember, it's a goal for the entire second quarter, and hopefully we'll make progress as we go along through the second quarter. Each day's lesson will will give us a particular sub skill that relates to the Florida State standards and helps us get to that goal of juggling. So that's going to be good stuff. But I first want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about my journey, my personal journey, the Coach Hart journey to becoming Coach Hart. Okay? And the reason I want to tell you this story is because it involves a lot of disappointment in it and a lot of falling short in it. The way that you will be disappointed and fall short as you attempt to achieve this goal, in which you may never achieve this goal, by the way. And you'll see in the story that I never achieved my goal, my particular goal. That was a part of this story. But here I am, happy, successful, funny, or no, actually I'm not that funny. Some of you guys think I am, but I get sidetracked. Here we go. So let's get back on the story. The fact that I didn't achieve that goal didn't hurt me. It actually helped me. It helped me become a much better person. So let me tell you that story. So it goes back to when I was about in fifth grade. I formed the idea in my mind. As a sixth grader, I was going to middle school, just like you fifth graders will be next year. And I formed the idea in my mind when I was in sixth grade that I wanted to make the middle school basketball team. Now, I lived in the Chicago area. I went to a school called Minor Junior High School for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. That's what we used to call middle school, junior high. And they had a basketball team, but they had many, many people at that school. Okay, now their basketball team, they picked 15 players for the basketball team, and then they picked four what they called managers. Managers were the four best players who weren't in the top 15. And the managers were there. They were allowed to come and practice, and they were there to help with equipment and other things that the team might need. So you were kind of on the team, not quite a full team member. You didn't get a uniform, for example. When you went to games, you just dressed in normal clothes. But becoming a manager was a big, big deal, and I'll tell you why. 150 people tried out for the team. Every year, 150 people tried out for the team. So if you made it to manager, you made it into the top 19 out of 150. That was a big, big deal. If you made it into the team, you were in the top 15. You got a uniform, you traveled to games, you dressed out, you participated in warm-ups. Every one of their games had a lot of people at them because the games would take place during school hours. And so we would all get the chance to get out of class and go to the game. So the gym was packed. It was a big, big deal to make that team. And then if you were really good enough, you made it into the starting lineup. The way that our coaches ran the team was that they picked their five best players into the starting lineup and maybe gave two or three other players a chance to play a little bit. because those coaches were extremely competitive and they wanted to win, and all of the coaches were that way. So none of them subbed out too many people. Subbed out means take a player out of the game so another player can go back in. So even if you made the team, if you were, say, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th best player, you were never going to get in a game. I mean, never, unless your team was winning by a lot, and then you'd get in right at the end. But still, you got a uniform. That was a big deal. And if you were a manager, of course, you didn't even get a uniform, but you were still part of the team, and that was a big deal. Okay, so I set it as my goal to make that team. When I was in 6th grade, I went to tryouts, and I was cut on the first day. Being cut means they say, okay, don't come back anymore. You're not good enough to make this team. That's called being cut. Now, the tryouts lasted a whole week, and they made cuts every single day. Okay? So the way that the rest of us normal people would judge ourselves was based on when we got cut, not if we made the team. The people who made the team were like walking gods. I mean, they were just so good. They were like, we didn't even understand how good they were. And us normal people, we couldn't measure ourselves against them. Even if somebody made manager, every once in a while, one of the normal people, and when I say normal people, I mean like me and my friends and people I hung out with, one of them would make manager, and that person was a hero in our friend group. Every once in a while, one of our friends would actually make the team and even become one of the starters. And that person was legendary, absolutely legendary because of that. But most of us, we got cut. So we had to measure ourselves based on when we got cut, okay, on what day we got cut. And it was the next level short of manager was making it to final cuts. If you made it to final cuts, that was a big deal. I mean, that proved that you were pretty good and in contention to possibly make manager. When I was in 6th grade, I got cut on the first day. But it was all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders trying out for the team. So unless you were amazing, it's absolutely amazing, they were going to cut all the 6th graders on the first day. That's just the way they did it. So you expected it. You were 6th grade, you got cut on the first day. It's like in the lesson we're going to learn about juggling, you're going to drop the ball a lot at the beginning. I mean, a lot. It's going to happen. But, big deal. Went up, picked myself up. I didn't get too disappointed over it. I kind of expected it. We practiced all the time. We practiced basketball. Basketball was my favorite game growing up. We played baseball. We played hockey. We didn't play soccer when I was a kid. Nobody around us played soccer. That's a sport that came later for me. But we played football. But we played all the sports. But basketball was pretty much the biggest one. So I set my sights on 7th grade and making the team as a 7th grader. I practiced all year long. Long story short, we got to tryouts. I made it through the first day. And one of the cool things, super cool things, was that the way you knew if you made it was the coaches would write the names on a piece of paper of all the people who made it, and they would pin the piece of paper to their door or tape it to their door. They would tape the paper to their door. And so they didn't tell you, like at the tryout, they didn't tell you unless it was on the first day. On the first day, I got sent, they would tell you, okay, hit the showers. That was their thing, they would say. Hart, hit the showers. And that happened to me on the first day as a 6th grader. But if you didn't get told to hit the showers, there was a chance you could make the second day of tryouts. Well, and then what happened is you had to come to school, and everybody would go straight to the door of the coaches to check the list and see if their name was on it. That was such a big deal. I can't describe to you how big a deal that was. And I'll never forget going to I'm just holding this piece of paper up here. I mean, it was a long piece of paper because there was a lot of names. Like 100 people would make it through the first day. They'd cut maybe 50 on the first day. And I'll never forget going through the names and finding my name there. I made it. Yes, I made it to the second day of tryouts. Wow, what an accomplishment that was. I felt like I'd really done something special. And so I got the second day of tryouts in seventh grade, and sure enough, I didn't get told to hit the showers, but when I went back the next, after the second day of tryouts, when I went back and checked, my name wasn't there. So I made it through the first day, but I got cut on the second day. But that was progress. And like in this juggling lesson, you're going to show progress. You're going to have progress take place if you stick with it, if you practice it, if you work at it. And let me tell you, I worked at it. I really worked at it as a kid. So that just left eighth grade, my final year of middle school, or junior high as we called it, to make the team. So I put everything into it. I mean, I put everything into practicing. I would go on Saturdays. Um, I tell this story about one day on a Saturday, uh, and it was in between. Well, when I was a seventh grader, but after I had already been cut for the team. But I had set my goal on making the team as an eighth grader. I was at this place on a Saturday that we used to play basketball at, and I was asked to join into the top game in the gym. They used to have all these different games going on around the gym, and it was understood that the games at the end baskets were the top games, and the games at the side baskets were for the players that weren't as good as the people on the end baskets. And somebody came and said, "Hey, Hart, we need you over here on this team over here on one of the end baskets." And I was like, "Baby, that's a big sign. That's a big step. I made it to the end baskets." And I remember that. I remember how important that was to me. And then, so eighth grade, I got ready, made it through the first day, made it through the second day, made it through the third day. So I've been 3 days, I've made it now. And I come to Thursday. And Thursday actually was the final day. There were 4 days of tryouts. And so if I could make it through that fourth day, I would make the team. I would accomplish my goal, and I would have been happy just to be the manager. But sure enough, I did not make it through that fourth day. But you know what I did do? I made it to the final cut. And that was a big, big deal. Now you might say, "Coach, how could you be happy about getting cut?" It's not about that. It's about the journey. And I had taken that journey almost as far as I could. And it was great. I was okay. So because I'd made it to the final cut, and because we'd had such a good team that year, I decided that I was still going to pursue basketball, and I was going to try to make it as a freshman in high school. To make a long story short, I practiced, got to freshman team tryouts, and was one of the last players that they let go. I didn't make that team, but I knew I was getting better. I was so close. I could taste it. I could feel it. And then all of a sudden, my family moved to Florida, because I remember I told you I lived in Chicago. We moved to Florida, and that was a completely different situation. I had no friends, didn't know anybody, but I still had that dream of making the basketball team. Okay, in Florida. Well, I went through the same process. I tried out, I got cut, tried out my junior year, got cut. My senior year, my last year, I almost made it. The coach brought me in to the office. He didn't post my name. He actually talked to me, and he said, "I hate to tell you this because I love how you play and I love your attitude. I love how hard you work, but I just can't put you on the team. I've got players that I think are better than you. But I thought you deserved better than me just writing your name and sticking it on the door. So I wanted to tell you in person, and I wanted to thank you for coming out." And let me tell you something, that conversation with that coach, that respect that was shown to me, that was great. That was super. I was like, man, that was good. That was okay. I wanted to be on the team, but, you know, some things are meant to be, some things aren't. Well, then I went to college and discovered soccer in college, and got lucky enough to meet one of the greatest coaches in the history of soccer, of college soccer in America. His name is Jack McKenzie. I wasn't one of the players on his team. He coached the team at my college. I wasn't one of the players on his team, but for some reason, he liked me. He saw something in me, and he started talking to me, and he started giving me the time of day and spending a little bit of time with me even. And I loved his team. I loved the way he ran his team. You know how we have Cypress Woods PE is run a certain way, and it's different, and it's special. And it's hard to describe why it's special, but there's something about it, right? Well, that's how his soccer team was. It's called Quincy University. Jack McKenzie was his name, and he's had a certain way of coaching that made his team something that everybody wanted to be a part of. Even if you couldn't be on the team, you wanted to be close to the team. I'm going to play a clip for you now of Jack McKenzie talking, and then I'll come back and talk to you again myself.